like to do some work with us around processing. What do we do when there are triggers? What do we do when trauma arises in daily life? And again, this is something to do with our self-expression as well. Let's just say you're at work and someone does something and it's triggering, and you start to go into a freeze, or you start to head towards rage and explode, and it's not optimal. Whatever the reaction pattern is not optimal. And you want to process this event and not get hijacked by the old way of being. You want to do it better. I think a really effective mechanism is emotional freedom technique, or tapping, EFT. One of the reasons why I share it is there are a few of them. One is it's got a very solid body of science. I mean, just to understand though, that if you go into Wikipedia, there will be folk that will say it's pseudoscience. There are debunkers who say psychotherapy is pseudoscience. So no single technique is perfect, but this has a good bulk of science behind it. It's very well researched. It's also publicly available. So like EMDR, eye movement desensitization, is a very powerful trauma technique, but you have to study psychology, and then only then can you study EMDR. So it's not actually publicly available. It's not useful to a group. It's very good in one-on-one therapy. This technique, many quality psychotherapists and mentors that I've worked with will swap between EFT and EMDR. So these are like top drawer processing, trauma processing, deconditioning tools. It's kind of weird. What it consists of, and we're going to play with this now, is tapping on various points. These points are acupressure points. So from acupressure or acupuncture, they're meridian points, while repeating cognitions or thoughts. So let's just say, can someone give us an example of being triggered? A trigger that happened very recently, today, yesterday, just recent.
Coming here today.
So describe the trigger.
But just knowing you're going to have to come and do this.
So if you could teleport me back to you this morning, you're triggered. What's going on, and what's the feeling in you, and what are you thinking?
A lot of resistance, and thinking maybe I should just skip this.
Fair enough. What's the feeling? And you said resistance. What does that feel like?
It's uncomfortable, maybe, I'm going to say anxious to a degree, but just like on the edge. Just not feeling relaxed like I normally would in the morning.
Okay, gotcha. Right, so that would be a perfect thing that you could process. Often what happens also is it's just swirling around, swooshing around your head and in your body in the morning. It's there, and then you either go or don't go, depending on what happens. But very frequently, well, there are many deeper layers even that we haven't even met, but there's a lot going on in us. So what do you do? Tapping, we're going to practice this now. It consists of tapping on the side of the hand. So let's just try this here. We're going to just tap on the side of the hand. This initial sequence would be where we do a setup statement. A setup statement is essentially setting up what you're going to tap on. And it sounds a bit weird. It goes a bit like this. Even though I feel triggered and I don't want to go to the workshop. So just try saying that. Even though I feel triggered and don't want to go to the workshop. I deeply love and accept myself. So that's quite a weird phrase. Now, some people will need to replace the I deeply love and accept myself because they struggle to say that. But we're setting up or dealing with, in that moment, what's called psychological polarity or polarity reversal. It's a very specific psychological technique we're doing in that moment. But whatever you're doing, so let's just say we were talking about group singing. Just tap with me, repeat after me. So we're going to go backwards and forwards. Even though I'm scared to sing in front of everyone, I deeply love and accept myself. Even though I really hope Jeremy doesn't make me sing alone. And just the thought of it makes me feel so anxious. I love and support myself just as I am. So we're positioning the thing that's triggering us against I deeply love and accept myself, which is kind of incongruous, but it's deliberately so. Even though I'm terrified of singing in front of people, I deeply love and accept myself. Because I just take a break. So that's what's called our setup statement. We do 3 of them. And it could literally be, even though Uncle Ben said X, Y, Z, I deeply love and accept myself, and say it 3 times. Then we start tapping through a series of points while exploring the issue. Okay, so these are the points. On the corner of the eye, the side of eye. So you can do 7 or 8 of these, doesn't matter which side you do it on. You can even swap side halfway underneath the eye. Underneath, yeah, underneath the nose. So these are all acupressure points. Underneath the lips. Collarbones, just beneath the collarbones, so just beneath the bones. The next point is kind of slightly weird, which is about 10 centimeters below the armpit. And top of our heads. So we're in fact going through all of the meridians in the body, all of the central acupressure points. Now just take a moment. Anyone get any feelings while doing that? Kind of neutral. Neutral. Good. You felt like a kid. I mean, it's the most bizarre thing. Like I work with a lot of sort of professional people all over the world. Like sometimes like full-on CEOs, and I've got them like tapping like this, and it's EMDR, which is probably the gold standard in trauma methodologies, involves moving your eyes backwards and forwards like that, like that, or holding onto 2 things and having an electric pulse in the left and right hand, or tapping left and right like this. Literally, the gold standard in trauma methodologies, written about deeply in, for example, Bessel van der Kolk's Body Keeps the Score. So, what we do is we do those points while repeating a phrase that we want to work on. So it would be like terrified of singing in front of people. So we're just going to do this very simply right now. Even though I'm terrified of singing in front of everyone, I deeply love and accept myself. Even though I'm terrified of being selected by Jeremy, but it really could happen. I love and support myself just as I am. Even though I'm so scared of embarrassing myself, and I'm so scared of singing in front of everyone, I deeply love and accept myself. Scared of singing in front of everyone. I'm scared of singing. I'm scared of people hearing me. Scared of singing in front of everyone. I'm scared of singing in front of everyone. It scares me so much. This fear in my body. This fear of singing in front of everyone. So you take a break. So you could do the points just repeating one phrase. Like if you were super triggered, like Anna said I was selfish, you could just go, even though Anna said I was selfish, and just go, Anna said I was selfish, Anna said I was selfish, Anna said I was selfish. And just do that and do multiple rounds of it. And you do it until you feel completely neutral. So the objective is to use tapping to move from triggered to neutral. Did anyone notice anything as we were tapping about singing in front of everyone? We didn't do that much of it, so it might be a bit early for that, but did anyone notice anything? Yeah, it is deeply relaxing. I find it deeply relaxing too. Okay, so just keep going here. Terrified of singing in front of everyone. Terrified. Singing in front of everyone. Terrified of singing in front of everyone. Terrified of singing in front of everyone. Terrified of singing in front of everyone. This fear in my body. I accept this fear. Terrified of singing in front of everyone. This terror in my body. Been around for a long time. And I love and accept myself just as I am. Anything happen while just tapping repeatedly on it? Yes! You're all healed! You're all ready to appear on stage tomorrow. No, I'm really joking. But thanks for that. Any other feelings?
Same feeling.
What's that?
Same feeling, sir.
Same feeling as?
Right.
Oh, so which is what?
Wants to stay out.
Really? Okay, great. Okay, good. And you?
Yeah, it's less scary.
Less scary. Yeah. Gotcha. So there's a reduction. Now that won't happen for everyone, and so you might need to do more work. Generally, with singing in front of people will require more work, but there's a releasing potentially happening. It may also begin to trigger and open up deeper things, so I'm not saying it's going to be like this for everyone. Anyone have an adverse reaction?
But yeah, I thought like at the beginning I was like, well, if I'm going to repeat this to myself over and over again, it's going to be my reality.
Right.
Especially when it's continuous and scared. But when it's coupled with I deeply love and accept myself, it feels like it has mind balanced out as well. And that was my
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So it's a really interesting thing. You can, like group tapping, there's been a bunch of research into group tapping where you tap on everyone's issues and you'll find yourself tapping on someone's issue that you don't have. And it's like, am I like getting infected with everyone else's stuff? And it doesn't work like that at all. Like you don't onboard someone else's stuff. What tends to happen in this is like a relaxation in the system and a more of discovering a deeper truth about how you feel. You can totally tap on somebody. In fact, the research is around what's called borrowing benefits, which is the observed phenomenon that tapping in a group on other people's stuff and your own, everyone benefits, and no, you don't collect everyone else's trauma in the process. There's lots of research on that, strangely. Yeah. Do you have a thing there?
No, I thought maybe it was counterintuitive to say the same thing, that thing of the problem, instead of maybe saying that, oh, I'm so comfortable singing. I think you can also do that with EFT, can't you?
So you can. So, you can. It's usually really good to start with the problem, because there are also layers of us that are saying this shouldn't be happening, I shouldn't be feeling that, they shouldn't have said this. There are layers and layers and layers of resistance, and to get to the point of like, yeah, I'm just terrified. Okay, I accept my terror. Just to accept ourselves at that level is really powerful.
Sort of normalize it.
To normalize it, and literally, one of the things that I'll say about healing is that, let's just say you're anxious, or you have an anxiety issue in general, or a depression issue, or whatever your particular worst thing is, but I'm going to call it anxiety. When you start suffering from that anxiety, there's all this like anxiety in the body, it doesn't feel nice. Straight on top of that are going to be voices that say, I shouldn't be like this. This shouldn't be happening. Those voices, those resistance, we've already got the anxiety, but now on top of the anxiety, we've got the I shouldn't have the anxiety. I shouldn't be depressed. I should get out of bed. So we got like a double kind of two parts coexisting simultaneously. That resistance pattern is one of the things that keeps the anxiety or depression or rage stuck. Most people who experience rage will also experience an inside voice saying, I shouldn't be angry. I'm wrong. And so we've got this doubling down. So one of the things that EFT will do is help you come to terms with what you're feeling. The same thing with when you've got a cold or you're feeling sick, something's wrong. There's a mental part of us that will be resisting how we're feeling. It's tapping's very powerful with physical things as well. It's amazing with children as well. Yes, go ahead.
So, if there's a situation that you have a conversation with someone and there's a trigger, I'm assuming starting to tap in that moment might not be the response you would go for. So I wonder, like, what would be a way to deal with the trigger in the moment and then using that technique, obviously, for yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, so that is the trick, is first pause, then start regulating. That's why I do recommend this, which is essentially using bilateral stimulation like EMDR to process the moment. This would begin to do it. One super handy thing to do, if you can get away with it, is that you can tap and, but without tapping, imagine yourself tapping. So you'll be like inside your head, even though Stephen or whoever is being absolutely awful, I deeply love and accept myself, inside your head. And then literally it'll be, I'm so angry right now, I feel resentful. And so you're going to do that thing of maybe giving them 30% of your awareness, but you start to regulate yourself. It's not ideal, but it's a way of, it can be very effective.
Because in those moments, I don't, because I'm the type of person.
Right.
So and I don't think it's bad, and that's probably the right or wrong thing to do. But I do have the tendency of then going into avoidance.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
helps, but yeah.
Yeah, so that's obviously the best thing your system's got. But ultimately, if you could process it in the moment, often the amazing thing is that we don't actually often need that long. You know, like when I described that time when I was at that dinner with friends, did I do that last night or today? That was last night. I described a story of being triggered at a friend's dinner in the last year or two. And I tapped beneath the table. And it just probably took 3 to 5 minutes to completely eradicate the trigger and find myself again. But otherwise we're like trapped in the feeling, trying to like compensate for it, trying to hide it, trying to get away, trying to like appear normal, trying to also, you know, it's just a little bit of a pause and start processing. Okay. So, answer your question, or rather what you said about the positive. There's a thing called Pat Carrington's EFT choices method, which is where you do a whole lot of negative rounds, and then you make a choice about how you want to feel. So, and you, rather than saying, I love singing in front of groups, your system will be like, as if that's just not true. But it can potentially buy, I choose to feel. So let's just try that. I choose to feel safe singing in front of people. I choose to feel safe singing. I choose to feel safe singing. I choose to feel safe singing in front of people. I choose to feel safe singing. I choose to feel safe singing. I choose safety. I choose to feel safe singing. I choose to feel safe singing in front of people. I choose to know that I'm safe singing in front of people. I choose to know that it's true that I'm safe singing in front of people. I choose to feel safe singing in front of people. I choose to feel safe singing in front of people. I choose to feel safe singing. I choose to feel safe. I choose to feel safe about my voice. I choose to feel safe being heard. I choose to trust my voice just as it is. I choose to accept my voice just as it is. I choose to let go of perfectionism. I choose to stop criticizing myself. I choose to be gentler with myself. I choose to start enjoying the sound of my voice. I choose to love my voice. I choose to let go of conditioning that makes me small. I choose to take up space. I choose to let myself be visible. I choose to let myself be a bit of a weirdo sometimes. I choose playful imperfection. I choose to be just a human. A human. I choose to lower my standards. I give myself permission to make some mistakes when I speak and sing. I give myself permission to sing deeply out of tune. I choose permission to let my voice squawk. I give myself permission to sing in an ugly fashion. I choose to love my voice no matter how it comes out. I choose to let go of shame. I choose to let go of overthinking what I say. I choose vocal freedom. I choose to be a little bit wilder. I choose to be a little bit freer. I choose to be a little bit kinder with myself. I choose lots of things. I've chosen so many nice things today. And I'm going to keep choosing them. But I choose to have a free, open, loving voice in the world. Take a breath. We probably have one. Okay, how did that feel? Fun. Good. So that's choices. I'm glad you asked the question. You know, the thing about all of the techniques that we're working with is we can either slide into default or we can wake up other ways of being in the world and other ways of being around each other. Find any other words for what that felt like or what moved through you as we were tapping? Liberating. Enjoyable, great.
Playful.
Yeah.
Playful, yes.
Feels like it is powerful though.
Mm. Yes. You know, sometimes when I'm leading groups, we work with mantras. Now, mantras really are just repeated phrases that you sing over and over again. And one of the explanations behind it is we have these mantras inside our head, which are like, you're not enough, you should be more, your voice is like this, why aren't you? We have these negative mantras like cycling around our heads that we repeat endlessly to ourselves. I should be this, I should be fatter or skinnier, or I should be younger. None of us are ever pretty enough for ourselves. Like the mantras, the negative mantras are endless. And so choosing to put positive input through the system, it's beautiful. And the whole world is possessed by these memes or negative mantras of not enoughness. So like we said through the whole workshop, to live a kind of an illuminated life where there's joy and playfulness and I can do stupid things and I don't need to be rigid and perfect. It requires a bit of work, but it's a lovely kind of joyful path. So that's tapping. Just a little bit of tapping. Any questions about it?
Maybe the patterns at first was like consequences over in a way like because I didn't know how long it's gonna be. So and since it's the new I don't know, I first had to also let go of this perception of what I'm currently doing. So when I would do it by myself, do you have like any tip of how long it should be? What like I don't know how many minutes or
Yeah, that's a good question. So experiment with, like when you're triggered, there's no better time to experiment with tapping than when you've got like going on in your system. And try multiple rounds and to see how, try and aim for feeling more and more neutral to the point to get as neutral as possible. It's very useful if you just had like a nasty conversation, for example, or someone sent you a highly triggering email. That would be like a classic that like lands in your inbox, you read it, your whole body freezes and does like this, and then you start thinking of responses. Maybe you think, I'm not going to respond now, but then this thing is looping through you. Even you don't respond that day, but you can barely sleep because these responses are like moving through your body. Has anyone felt that before? So, huge amount of unexpressed energy in the body. Tapping is a really magnificent way to do it. Also, communicating is a good thing to do too, but it's really useful to tap on the feelings. I feel this rage that's not fair, even though I'm so furious with them, even though let the rage out. Tap on their exact words, even though they said I was a selfish narcissist. Just repeat, because those things are what are going to lodge and circle around in your brain. That's actually how we store trauma, is in fragments. When people have a motor vehicle accident, they will remember the song, like a fragment of the song that was on the radio, the smell of the car tire, one visual, and it embeds into essentially our tissue with the emotional and in relation to the amygdala, with the trauma response and the fear and the feeling that we had at the time. We store them, so this is kind of technical, but I just want you to get this. We store them in what are called aspects. So what that means is via different senses: auditory, visual, smell, sensation, and thoughts or words. And we store them like that. So whatever's triggering you has got specific things that they said. Sometimes it'll be, for example, what they said, what you felt, and the expression of the person that was looking at you while this person was shouting at you. So I worked with a client the other day who got triggered in a butcher's shop. She's female, she's a wonderful CEO, but in this butcher's shop, these two misogynist butchers started to tease her and patronize her. And she froze. And so she froze, and all the stuff was happening, and they were like wrapping the meat, but then they were also making these stupid jokes about should they make it 5 grams more. Like there were very specific things they said. But a whole part of the mortification that she felt was the faces of everybody else in the queue, some of whom she knew, even from a business point of view, all in the same community. So she needed to tap on what they said, what she felt, the faces that were there that were watching. Then she needed to tap on the feelings that she felt after she walked out of the butchery, which was, why didn't I say something? This fury with herself about not speaking, not standing up for herself, da-da-da-da-da. I'm just saying, how we store and process big, heavy events, that's a kind of a minor example, but it was important to her. We store it in these fragments. Okay, that was technical, but you got that?